this might be long overdue for me, or maybe it is just a perfect time. I don't know. But anyway, I wanted to do this confession to being a twin flame, although I'm fully aware it is just a label. I think it is very important to connect some inner narrative you probably formed along the way, which is only in potential, to something greater, potentially greater, outside of it you aim for. And the only way to do that is to say it out loud. You can't just keep it inside. And the other reason I think it is of great importance to admit to it is because you will probably come across many twin flame videos desperately in search for help or to make sense of this dreadful process which they call dark night of the soul. Or those videos will just find you, if you really are this twin flame. Either way, unconscious mind will decide that before the conscious one. Anyway. And if you get that help, you kinda owe to return it. Now personally, I haven't watched that many of these videos because I'm a little bit more proud when it comes to outside help in any form. But there were some useful advices. I mean, along the confirming narrative, which I already had pre-made. There are also some good practical advices I adopted and then ignored them, and then I had to realize them again myself. But nonetheless, it did help me when it was almost live or die situation. So I have to return it. And I would even say, don't sell yourself shortly settling on this twin flame label, because it is just a door to this vast intuitive inner world. You are also so much more than that. But I get it. Maybe it's been too much for you. You wanna settle somewhere. You wanna make it home, so twin flame community. And that's alright. But I don't think it will work on a, if you really are twin flame, even settling there, it won't work on a longer term. At least I'm sure it won't work for me. Because this is very, very lonely, isolating process, very individual. And there's something common for all of these individuals, which they call them twin flames. Something archetypical, like for example, some psychological resemblance of a narrative, like a bubble face. They talk about that cute daydream face you both managed to hold for some period of time, maybe a few months, and then it disperses, and then your suffering begins. You cannot just process it. And then there's separation. So all of this is archetypical. That is how I know that this is real, because it is showing some psychological patterns. But then again, it is also very individual. And if you think that twin flame, that, I don't know, reading tarot cards will furthermore direct your life in a good direction, then fine, settle there, but it won't work. Okay, so that is my admission. Now I've written some guidelines I've written some guideline or instructions to for myself in preparing of this video, so I'm gonna mostly read that. I will try not to over-explain a lot, because I haven't used my English for quite some time, and my fluency kinda decreased significantly. I'll try not to entangle myself. So that was number 1, admission. Number 2, it should be able to help at least one person, like video guy named Michael Timby helped me in his personal experience and advices when I came across this concept, hence I managed to justify the sense or the nonsense of this psychological torture which they call Dark Night of the Soul, because I found it at exact right time when I mostly needed to make sense of it. It is, as I said, confirmed my already pre-made inner impression, feelings and thoughts on this process. So it worked in a non-suggestive but confirming way on me. And once again, this is why I think that more like coming across to individual similar experience video will help you more than the community as a whole, because the more I see now what the community is posting it's like few steps from Scientology even. They just made a new religion out of it. It doesn't work. It doesn't help individual. I strongly believe in individual suffering, and that is the only way to actually relate. I mean, I don't think that majority of individuals in that community are standing on how to put it, healthy unconscious roots. I think the Jung would put it that way, probably. Because they're reaching out too much. They're reaching out for the skies too much, and they're not looking down below. And the skies are just, might be, the projection of the deep unconscious mind. I mean, it's not might be, it definitely is. So how his experience helped me? Well, he just said in simple words, basically he described, he actually said that him and his twin flame are like, they're like unique in a way. He said at the beginning of this, when they met, he was more, I think the term he used, I don't know why, I watched this in like a year ago in this January. The term he used is, I was like more mushy, feminine, and she was like more masculine. And I was like, yeah, you're not unique. Yeah, that's me too. But unfortunately, that can work, obviously, because for you this process is to reverse that, because you might keep the so-called erotic attraction, but you're both gonna keep the erotic attraction because of those projections you made, but in your daydream state. In reality, it wouldn't work. No way. He also gave some practical advices, like go outside and scream, or punch pillows. And I was like few days before I watched that video, actually, I've done that. Like, yeah, already done it. Scream outside. But except from pillows, I punched walls, because I'm no pussy. And that is the confirming way that I'm trying to explain. Not non-suggestive, but confirming, because I already did something, then I find about it. So, thank you to him. Now, third point of my guideline is, it should be, oh no, that's the second one. I should make an impression like I know what I'm talking about. My perspective needs to be connected to healthy unconscious roots instead of reaching out to some fake deep spiritual claims. It needs to sound rational, almost scientific, relying and referring to Jung, but this should be only secondary. So in other words, I'm a little bit more proud. I also wanna sound a bit smart if possible. So I'm gonna try to connect deeper archetypical psychology to a twin flame symbolics. Number 4. If I mention anything of a private matter, it is only to serve the purpose of point 2 and 3. Number 5. End up with practical advices. And number 6. Make all of that happen in 11 minutes and 11 seconds. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that. Okay. Now, how do I know I'm a twin flame? Beside the archetypical psychological patterns. Well, I mean, I can now follow the Michael Timby footsteps and share a personal story, but I don't want to get into it. Well, I'll say, let's see, the moment we separated for the first time, for the first few days, that was like a really strange experience to me. That's the first depth of suffering I've never really experienced before. So I basically cried all night, and I remember that's the first time I actually use word God in a like scary, more intimate way. I don't know how to explain it. So I was thinking, like, I met this person, and now we've been for 3 or 4 days somewhere, and then I'm never gonna see her again. Well, I don't think that's fair. And I'm like talking to God. I'm like saying, okay, God, if you're gonna make me not see her again, can I at least see? And I don't know why really I use this words. I mean, I was already in like feverish state because I couldn't fall asleep. But I'm sure I did not sleep. That is for sure. So I say, okay, if you're gonna make me not see her again, can I at least see your face? Those are the words I used, and I already like put that to on a same scale, like God's face, my twin flame. I already put it like it already mattered to me, like unconsciously. It was on the same scale, and in that moment, I remember after saying those words, can I at least see your face? And in that moment, I see I close my eyes and crying, and I see her face just popping out from the darkness. Like, I see it so clear. I also forgot her face, but at that moment I see it so clearly, like a hallucination, like a vision. I can't explain. Although I was not asleep. That I know. But after that, I just passed out. I just fall asleep. And then I messaged her, and then we did this cute bubble phase for a few months, and then total disaster. And then the dark night of the soul, I guess, starts. Okay. Alright, so now to the part me trying to be smart. I don't think I ever told her this, even. What twin flames probably don't know, if they are not familiar with Jung's thought and work, is that this dark night of the soul psychologically completely matches Jung's process of individuation. Well, yes, and that is a good thing. And that is when I say it's a door to something greater than this. You already be one step into Jung's individuation, and trust me when I say this, the process of individuation as he described it it's just the purpose of every person's life. There's just no question about it. That's your psychological purpose, to go through it and to become what you need to be. In other words, in simple words. So what is the process of individuation? In a more simplistic way, I wouldn't be wrong if I say that it is voluntarily descent into hell. Yeah, sounds right. Dealing with the higher aspects of your unconscious nature, encountering shadow, anima or animus, and self. And dif differ differentiating ego from these archetypes. Yeah, I teach English, by the way. In a more complex way, if you understand archetypes, it would be sorting out those archetypes to a pre-existing natural order which they already happen to be in, but they are in a dormant state. So why do you need to sort them out if they already exist in a natural order? Well, that is because in practical life they are pretty messed up because of a bad upbringing, which all of the twin flames are very well aware. When I watched these videos, I mean, wherever I looked, I saw testimonies openly also of an abuse, abandonment. That's just it, just a recurring theme here, and also something archetypical for all the twins, you might say. So your mental or psyche can't function, at least in a desirable way, without sorted archetypes, similar to a physical body with organs turned upside down. And in that way you can call archetypes soul, psyche organs, like Jung calls them. Also he identifies soul and psyche. And also he says for psychology that it is the science of the soul, not of the mind, which is a big difference. Also you can see the archetypes like inner molds, or it's more than inner personality, really. It's inner psychic mold, which is in dormant state, which is like waiting to be equipped. I don't know. But those are different type of archetypes. Now I'm talking probably about Christ and Antichrist archetype, but that's not relatable to this. I want to talk about animus and anima today. So it is bad enough if you as a child didn't get proper guidance that will already mess up the archetypes in some degree, let alone if somebody actively worked in totally opposite direction, purposely or unconsciously, doesn't matter. Either you will grow up, manage to shift it into your favor and do something great, or you will take your vengeance onto the world in some way or the other. So it makes sense when they also claim that there is no choice in accepting this path. If you don't accept, well, I don't see anything but severe clinical depression or death in that choice. And if you do, well, you don't know where it's going, right? That's the scary part. A result of individuation process is a rapid personality growth, at least. But there is no really upper limit to this. It can probably make you God. I mean, depending on a hotness of a flame that will burn you. Well, that's all about the archetypes. That's some introduction to archetypes I tried to make. Now I want to talk about dreams. Well, I could talk about dreams. I could talk about dreams for days. Okay, well, also what you will notice in this period is that dream activity will spike up in a way that your dreams will become a little bit, I don't know, well, you experience all sorts of dreams, probably even from visions to like high pixelated dreams to more symbolic ones. You're probably going to pay attention more to them. They're not going to just walk past you like they regularly do. And this is not because you are a twin flame, but because of psychological isolation. So build-up energetical charge is transmitted through unconscious rather than conscious connections. And even if this will feel like a meaningful isolation at the time, still it doesn't end there. It is only a step towards making amends for that very isolation. And that way you prove that you fully accept this, you harvested some deep knowledge, and then you try to integrate it back to, you want to give it back. You have to integrate it back, because you didn't psychologically fulfill your purpose if you don't give it back to society, life, or at least in flame community. What is the purpose of dreams? So unconscious, being an autonomous part of the psyche, affects your life and dictates your life choices in much broader way than the conscious. So what you call a conscious decision is always in some way enveloped in the unconscious. Maybe in more banal kind of choices, like which ice cream flavor to pick, you won't investigate your unconscious so thoroughly. But in those you might consider to be more faithful, like twins meeting, you will certainly ask deeper questions. One way or the other, with this kind of directing, unconscious also messes up with your life, with your make-believes and delusions, also with your goals and tendencies, if they are not good for you, if they are part of those delusions. Always trying to put you back on a track where you are supposed to be. So it is unraveling your life like a ball of yarn from the unknown. But it is not going to do it in a preferable way on its own, if you are not trying to hold the strings tightly with your hands, so it doesn't come without a certain amount of conscious responsibility. Okay, that's like, if I would summarize about the unconscious, that's the first thing I would say about unconscious mind, to describe someone if someone asks me what is unconscious. Now, dreams, being the biggest manifestation or the window to the unconscious mind, they can serve as a tool of navigation through this difficult process, usually having a compensatory role to a conscious state, having tendency to correct unhealthy states of a conscious mind, also to lead you where you are supposed to be. And unconscious is doing this, either way, but in invisible sense. So with dreams, it is a step up from invisible to somewhat visible, at least in a symbolic way. So now you can hold on to something as a guidance. But dreams need very careful approach in interpreting. And this is the part where I could actually talk for days about. I've listened to Jung advice, I made my dream diary. I'm doing this for almost, I started actually this June, but I've written down also the dreams when I burned the most, like from the previous year. I try to connect them in some way. And what you need to do is you need to adopt symbology, and you need to do this very carefully. You cannot reach out. If you reach out, you will just end up in I don't know. It has to be investigated very carefully. I'll give you an example. That's the best way, I guess. So during this process, at one point, I don't really know when, might be 6 months ago. I was dominated by this thought. I don't know where it comes from, but still I was dominated by it, and it tortured me. I started asking questions like were Jesus and Mary Magdalene also twin flames? What else would have made him really what else would have made him, if I would speak in Jung words, I would say what else would have made him equip Christ archetype, or what else would have made him behave that way, if not a woman. And then in that period I had a dream. So I dreamt, it's a very simple dream. I dreamt about my high school history teacher giving me the worst grade in history. And how I interpreted it is, obviously it's not the way it happened, it's not the way it went down. So the unconscious mind is telling me this kind of thought is not good for you, like get rid of it. So it's not true, it's not whatever happened, it's not how it went down. Obviously it's not really healthy for me I wouldn't be able to navigate through life with having these thoughts in my head. So this is the compensatory role of a dream. I have many of these examples, really. I think that's the best one. And the last thing I want to talk about is animus and anima. Now, why do I want to talk about animus and anima? And this is like, that was this January when I found that video, and things started unraveling in some direction. I was surrounded by a very dense symbolic, I don't know how else to put it. Well, I started also reading Jung, and I started with a very hard book like the Archetypes and the unconscious and the collective unconscious. And I couldn't possibly understand like what are the animus and anima. What is Jung talking about? There's no way I could even have a glimpse into it. So I just Googled it. I Googled animus and anima, and then the picture that came is the, like, I don't know, two-faced man-woman syzygy. The picture they used to describe animus and anima is the same symbol they used for twin flames in these videos. And I don't know, are the founding fathers of this twin flame label, were they familiar with Jung thought or not? But it doesn't matter. This really proves how Jung's symbolics are carrying like luminous charge. This just proves Jung's thought more. So that's when I got really interested into Jung even more. It started making sense. So what are the animus and anima? Okay, I'm gonna read what I write about, what I have written about animus and anima. So animus is basically, it's an unconscious logos, and logos would be the conscious part of a man's part of psyche. So animus is that in reverse, unconscious. So it's woman's unconscious, but woman's unconscious part, also woman's masculine. And anima is unconscious eros, man's unconscious part, also man's feminine. Actually, they're more like, I mean, they're not really carriers of the whole unconscious, because the unconscious is the ocean of the unknown. Animus and anima would be like the champions of that, like it's the champion of the woman's unconscious mind, and the anima is the champion of the man's unconscious mind. And the conscious parts, so the man is, how is man's psyche built? It's so conscious logos, unconscious anima, and then woman's eros, unconscious animus. Now, what does this mean in a practical sense? I'll try to explain that later. So, formation of animus and anima. They are already formed in a primordial way, but that doesn't serve any purpose in practical life, because they are developed from very early ages by the influence of a parent of an opposite sex. So, how do you communicate with how a person communicates with their unconscious nature inwardly will always result how you are interacting or getting along with the person of opposite sex outwardly. This is just a psychological law, there's no exceptions. So young child is also tabula rasa, but it's also not. It's also has his archetypes already. We are born with them. But unfortunately, a little child doesn't know that. So a child watches to the dynamics between the parents. And this dynamic does resemble, and he adopts that, projects that, and that his anima or animus get painted by mainly by the attitude of a parent of the opposite sex. But it's not really, when it comes to screwed up animus and anima, it's not really one parent to blame. It's just the dynamics between them. And this is how later in life your unconscious will have influence on you. So that's basically how they are developed from early stages. Now what else? How else can I describe animus and anima? So archetypes responsible for maintaining conservative relations. Those are archetypes responsible for maintaining conservative relations between men and women, preventing them from being friends. Division to roles for maintaining individual purpose, fatherly and motherly purpose. Yes, that's the idea, I guess. That's the idea of the archetypes. That would be creator's idea of the archetype. Why is it important to have the division to roles? Well, so they don't get selfish, right? So they have to have this common unifier. They cannot focus on each other. That's why twin flames say, don't focus on your twin, work on yourself. Because if you focus on your twin, you'll just see the worse. So rather than focusing on the opposite, they need a common unifier purpose to get distracted from tearing each other to pieces, because they will do that regardless of amount of love they feel. So conjoined purpose is the only way that erotic attraction can be kept forever. Without purpose, it's not stable. And one other property of animus in anima is that they are constantly in indecision whether to fall in love or wage war. Now they're doing this all the time, and that's why it's not possible for them to be friends. Now you can agree with the person of the opposite sex that you can be friends, but that just narrative you will stick to animus and anima, and that won't hold, because what they're doing, all the time they're scanning each other for what? Fuck, I can't remember the word. It doesn't matter. Yeah, as I said, my English fluency is decreased, so fuck it. So they're constantly in decision whether to fall in love or wage war. And with twins, good thing is they already decided to fall in love at the first sight through each other projections, but nonetheless love. And then you have this unraveling state of separation where you need to adjust or deal with your unconscious nature. If you're a man, you need to deal with your anima so it can resemble your twin's eros, so that you can enter what Jung called a hierogamos, or what twins call divine union. In other words, you need to cut off or smoothen those rough edges of your personality which would prevent relationship between you two to hold stably. Also, Jung stated, well, deal with your anima and then wed her in reality, because in Jung's psychology nothing is really for the philosophical purposes. It's all for practical improvement of life. How can you imagine animus and anima? And this is actually this is how I imagine it. I know I'm gonna a little bit shift from Jung, although I do believe that he imagined it the same way, but I haven't really explicitly came to that, but I imagine it like this. How to imagine animus and anima in space. So if self is the center of the psyche, or only spot which holds contradictions at peace, if that self would unravel itself in collective mind, similar to a surface of a circle being spread on a plane, the wings it would spread across the whole collective psyche would be called animus and anima. I mean, what does this really mean? Practically nothing, but it means that those are very, very close archetypes to a self, and that's why the self also in dreams, and which is the archetype of God, can represent, can personify